your ego into it. It's about, what you love doing. And then there's another good line where they get even a little bit more flirty, and he's like, if we want this picture to get finished, you're gonna have to stay about this far away from me at all times. And it's you're like, oh, okay, we're seeing this could be a good duo. All right. So they have kind of flirty moments, but then they back off, and out of respect for her dating his friend and to get the picture done, he has a discussion with Max, who wants to keep her deluded. She is clearly starting to suffer because of this, all of what's happening to her. She's getting stressed out. It's not good for her. We need to tell her the truth so she can stop doing this madness to herself. And Max is like, no, she's the greatest star. She will be great. We don't need to do this to her. I won't do it to her. I won't hurt her like that. And we discover that Max is actually her first husband. Da, da, da. Dramatic pause.
Well, and also, have you talked about the fan letters yet?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh,
so
okay. I'm sorry.
He is her first husband, and I actually directed her in all of these films. And he has been the one who's been writing these fan letters to keep her, feeling like she's been loved and needed. And he's like, don't take a close look at those postmarks, because you'd notice that it's been him that's been writing it the whole time. So it's a very dramatic that he was so enamored with her in her heyday when she was in love, and beautiful and perfect and a great actress, that he has stayed behind. He's no longer directing. He is with her and is staying with her despite them not being together romantically anymore. So then Norma is lamenting and being sad that Joe's not around, and she just sneaks through his stuff, starts to go through and try to see what's happening, and she finds a copy of the script they're working on, which is titled, now it's a new title, it's Untitled Love Story by, and it has their names on it. So now she knows Betty's name. So then we cut back to another scene of them writing together, and Betty seems kind of off. She's just kind of sad. Oh, we learn earlier in the film that both she and Artie have been engaged before they started writing, so that they are engaged to be wed. And during this scene, she seems really sad, kind of out of it. And he kind of probes her, what's up? What's going on? Are you okay? And we discover that she does no longer wants to marry Artie, and she has fallen for Joe. And they share a kiss, and they declare that they like each other. And it's that very stereotypical couple falling together, and it's a beautiful scene. You're kind of bittersweet, because you're you like Artie because he's a great guy, but they have such chemistry together, and they want the best for each other, and it feels very good to see them together on screen. We cut back to a little later, and Norma calls Betty and tries to sabotage the relationship. Do you know where he's been? Do you know who he's staying with, where he gets his money? She's kind of trying to plant the seeds of doubt in her head, and Joe overhears this conversation, and he comes over and grabs the phone and is like, yeah, you know what? Come over here. Come over and see. Come to my place right now. Here it is. Come over. I'll tell you what's happening. What's going on? And he's incensed. He is pissed at Norma, and he's kind of done with the whole thing. He's like, this is not working. I'm done. And so and Norma's trying to, please, and she's clearly starting to fall even further into delusion at this point. She the eyes are getting wilder when she talks. Everything is big. I'm please, you have to stay with me.
She's falling into insanity.
Yes. So then Betty arrives, and he, in an attempt to save her from all of these problems, is kind of blasé. It's yep, I'm a kept man. This is how I get my money, and I'm in a comfortable situation. And Betty's like, let's leave. Let's go. The script's practically done. Let's just sell it and go. Let's go. And he's like, no, I'm comfortable where I am. He kind of, he shirks her advances and is like, no, I'm staying here, in an attempt to save her from all of this madness that has happened. And also to get her with Artie, who at least we all know is a safe choice. And is not going to attempt to murder her like Norma might.
Well, and at this point, he's kind of that character. He's kind of completely through.
Yeah.
With he's through with Norma. He's through with Betty. He's through with Hollywood. Right.
This has been a chaotic mess from the beginning. He loves the film industry, but he's just tired. He's done. He's
right. And even at the beginning, when he knows that his car is going to be taken from him, he can't find any work. He talks about going back to Ohio. He's finished with Hollywood. So these are even more signs that it's you should be totally finished with Hollywood. You need to get out of here.
You need to go.
So he's just trying to cut all of his ties.
Yes. And he knows she'll be well kept after. He tells her to go to Artie, go get married. He's in Arizona filming right now for a new film. So he's like, go to Artie, go get married, be successful, get the script like published, like go sell it and be good. And she's heartbroken and leaves in tears, and he feels bad. And Norma is like, great, perfect, like you're with me. Like it totally assumes that he's correctly, like, oh, you're gonna be with me, it's fine. But so she goes up to come find him and sees him packing his stuff, and he's leaving all the gifts. He throws the cigarette case. He leaves all the gifts she gave him and is just grabbing his own stuff. And he says, I'm going to go back to Ohio. I'm done with this. And Norma begins to panic. Very insanity seeps in as the scene goes on. It wants him to say like, I'll hurt myself. Like, no. Like, no. You think I'm kidding? I've got a gun. I'll use it on myself. And he's like, I can't stop you from doing that, but I need to be out of here. I need to be gone. This is not working. And then he reveals to her, yeah, this is not going to happen. Like, this is not going to happen. You're not a star anymore. They don't want you for this film. They're using your car. Like, and Max, can't you tell? Like, these are all fan letters. Like you've been sending them. It's not real. And that seems to like snap something in her. And she like fully goes into delusion and becomes the most campy actor that I love, like that camp that I love so much. He tries to tell her like, there's nothing tragic about being 50, not unless you're trying to be 25. You have to get out of this. But he realizes he can't reach her. She's too far. So he takes his stuff and he starts to go. And she gives that great line, no one leaves a star. That's what makes one a star. Like, it's very dramatic. And she's snapped, like based on the look on her face, she's snapped.
Well, and I hate to interrupt you because we're getting up to the climax of the film right before the falling action, as climax comes before the falling action in any story. But one of my favorite lines from an analysis I read on Sunset Boulevard is, a fatal delusion is to hold on to the past and attempt to freeze time in place. That's what she's done since she's fallen out of silent films. And it's slowly being, by Joe, her delusion is being stripped away and she's having to face reality. And because she's lived in delusion for so long, she cannot face reality. So that's when insanity kicks in.
Yes, she fully begins to like snap. She's like, nope, nobody leaves me. That's not how it happens. So in a very tragic moment, Joe starts to walk out and like crosses past the pool, and she takes the gun and shoots him multiple times, and he falls into the pool dead. And then we cut back the scene of them like fishing out his body, and all like there's tons of people around, all the homicide guys, like the press has started to arrive with their cameras, and everybody's sitting around trying to question her in her room as she's getting ready for the film, because she is fully like they said in the Joe says in the narration, like the earth had given her kind of one last mercy and enveloped her in her dream. So she fully believes that she is getting ready for her film and is excited for her comeback, and she won't answer any of the cops' questions. She is like doesn't even know exactly that they're cops. I think they assume part of the crew. So she's getting ready, and somebody mentions that the cameras are ready, and she's like, cameras? And like, so they're like, hey, maybe this is the way to get her out without having to like have a fight. Let's just like kind of roll with it and let her believe whatever so we can get her out and get her off to the precinct. So she goes, and in a beautifully done like scene, like everybody else is on like this big staircase, all the like reporters and cops and all that. And she walks out and does her like, what's the scene? Like, hey, you're a princess, you're going down your steps. So like they kind of set up, and Max is like action to help get her out. And so the cameras rise up to her, and she, as everybody else stands still, she slowly descends past everybody else down to her awaiting group, fully enveloped in this film that she is in. And then she gets to the bottom of the staircase and is like, oh, I can't, I'm too happy. And she gets emotional, as the actual actress did when this happened. And then is like, gets back into it, and she's like, all right, Mr. Jamil, I'm ready for my close-up. And does the classic like hand gesturing as her eyes get very big and she gets closer and closer to the camera as the film then ends and fades away. And that, my good friends, is the not quite brief summary that I had anticipated it being of the film.
You have been listening to the Hollywood Babylonians. The Hollywood Babylonians is produced, edited, and written by Ben Burke and co-hosted by Mallory Harwell. Research by Ben Burke and Mallory Harwell. Artwork by Ben Burke and Jamie Lee. If you liked what you heard today, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe, and be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at The Hollywood Babylonians for more Hollywood Babylonians content. Tune in next week as we explore another classic film out of the golden age of Hollywood and the history behind it. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.